How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting if you email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. The next best way to get a hold of me is Patreon. Go to Opperman Report Patreon. Everything you hear Monday to Friday, AM/FM radio, you can find over at Patreon with all the ads and the commercials. I know people hate the ads. They're so upset about the ads. So it's ad-free, commercial-free at Patreon, Opperman Report Patreon. I put up exclusive stuff there all the time for free. All this P. Diddy stuff. I got so much P. Diddy stuff on there. I'm turning into the P. Diddy of Patreon. Okay, I got this incredible video of Jonathan Odie, who back in 2018 went down and shot up the Doral Trump golf course. Then he starts being interviewed. There's a video of him being interviewed by the U.S. Secret Service where he starts talking about P. Diddy and these sex parties and Cassie, all this stuff back in 2018. Now get this guy still hasn't been convicted yet. He's testifying. He's working with the FBI against P. Diddy. There's no doubt in my mind. Great stuff there. And plus, you got to see his witness list. I haven't gone through and searched all these names, but he's like 200 names on his witness list. But yeah, the guy went in there, shot up the joint on video, so there's not much of a trial here. Okay. Wow. So, great stuff there in Patreon. The archives are at Spreaker.com. You go there. It's a chat room, put up new content every Friday night. And if you go there and Google Patrick Bergy, you're going to find some of the best content we've ever had on the show. Patrick Bergy is a former, he went into the military like 39 years old, something crazy like that, doing working on this project of social media, computer, psychological warfare type stuff. He'll explain it. But he's got a podcast called The American Awakening. The American Awakening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It's on this format called IRNbroadcast.com. But he's also on Twitch. Twitch.tv, PFC_Bergy. He's on Patreon too as well. Patreon.com, American Awakening. You can find him there too as well. Mr. Patrick Bergy, are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on, Ed.
Hey, boys, it sounds like a different guy. We've been talking for 20 minutes off the What a smooth FM Patrick Bergy we had now. Hey, man, I love when you come on the show. Thank you so much. You know, I got an open invitation anytime you want to come on here and tell something. But remind the audience, who is Patrick Bergy?
You did a pretty good job summing it up there.
Okay.
Enlisted at 39, turned 40 at basic training. The one thing I would say is that, when I went into the military, this is back in 2005, my MOS was, I was signal support, right? It was when I went into contracting afterwards in 2007 that I went over and started working for technology, and that's when I started working on the IIA project, which is it's publicly available information if you know where to look.
And also, the last time I was looking through our chat on Facebook before the last interview, you have some kind of a local cafe thing. What is that again? It's like a...
Yeah, that's what I'm working on. I have a commercial property here that I have now, and I've just been working on the project of turning it into of basically making a kind of combining a Starbucks with a Google data center and a marketing company, right, for influence. So it's a members only cafe for content creators and business owners, looking for a way to bring those two people together, so that local businesses can have access to tools to be able to put them online, right? And it it's a great opportunity for kids. It's a great opportunity for anybody who understands how to set up websites or do the basic things. And if you like lawn services, places like that, they can't afford these big Cox Media marketing companies. So I'm looking at a way to kind of create a social network, but also having a physical location where people can actually go and meet. Because, Facebook and all those things, the Internet's great,
right?
But it's taking away from us that human contact. And I want to try to bring those together.
Man, you took the words right out of my mouth. This whole thing with this cat, these Haitian cat eating stuff, in the old days, when people were talking face to face and we didn't have these stupid phones in our hands all day long, I don't think that story would have gotten as far as it has, you know what I mean, on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, it was just a distraction, but it was also tactical. I'm not sure because there's just not enough data, but I'm not sure if it was like the disaffected Republicans, or someone like Stone that did it, or if it was like Democrats, DC lobby Democrats, that put that together. But no, that the cat thing you could see from a mile away was just stupid, it ended up being horrible. They're emptying out schools with bomb threats because Trump mentioned it. During the debate, and I voted for Trump in 2016. I voted for Trump in 2020. I rode all over the state of Florida.
Bikers for Trump. You were with Bikers for Trump, right?
But you also can't give me crap for speaking out. What am I not? I love Thailand, right? But one thing you'll notice when you go to Thailand is that every home and every business has to have a picture of the king and queen, right? Or maybe just the king. But every home has it, and I think every home has a Buddha as well. And I get the Buddha, okay. But the thing that creeps me out more, I would argue, is the king. But the country's beautiful. It runs great, right? They've been around this guy's been around 100 years. I don't want that in America. We hang a flag on a pole, right? Not a man's picture on the wall. So I'm an American. I am a patriot. I love and protect and fight for a flag, not a man. Do I want Kamala Harris to be the president? No. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, no. But look what we got. We got Trump going off, off the deep end with stuff that's being fed to him by Laura Loomer and others. The same misinformation and disinformation people were getting to him back in D.C. back in 2020, right? The same, and what when Millie was arrested, she was wearing a Laura Loomer shirt.
Really?
This is their network, right? So Loomer is part of that same network that is feeding this misinformation and bullshit to Trump. And I wash my hands of it. Jesus, Mary, what am I supposed to freaking do, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not happening, and it doesn't mean it's not the same thing by the same group of people happening right now that did it back in 2020.
Loomer's on my list of things I wanted to ask you about. So let's hit that first. Now, I had a guest on this show, a guy who I respect, a guy who I know in person. We worked on a project together. In fact, you even helped with that project when you gave me a phone number. Okay, let me ask you this. He tells me Loomer came out of James O'Keefe Project Veritas, right? So he has some kind of training there. And he also tells me that James O'Keefe Project Veritas had training from Eric Prince in doing undercover operations and surveillance and tactical. Yeah. You heard that story too? You heard that too?
Yeah. Yes, I did. I would argue I remember it being from a pretty solid source. Yeah,
and that
public knowledge.
And that O'Keefe was offered a contract by Qatar to go over there and do undercover espionage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what about Loomer? That she has a bunch of honeypot type women around her. That you've told me stories about General Flynn's son. What do you know about Laura Loomer and honeypot type activity?
Yeah, well, you would think she would have better luck than Tory, but Tory's got some pretty good numbers on her bedpost when it comes to honeypotting. Not me, thank you very much, but since she's been on the hunt. And but no, they do. They go out. They can't do it alone. They usually try to get around people that have credibility because they've lost all theirs. And it's the same damn people.
Yeah.
Everybody's Trump. He's like, he has trouble acknowledging that he lost. I do not have trouble acknowledging he lost by a lot, by the numbers that they were looking at, because of the batshit craziness of people like Millie Weaver, who I didn't have anything to do with it, right? Hey, do you mind if we tell your story in a documentary? No, sure, that'd be great, right? I'm trying to get this out. Little did I know, Tory's sister, literally, Maria Helen Morris, literally worked for the State Department and put those partnerships together between the State Department and Facebook and the other social media platforms. Little did I know that. Holy cow, right? I guess, again, when I point to all this stuff being kind of, I have to wash my hands with it, this being like above my pay grade, it's like, really? You got people from the State Department who put these partnerships together, inserting people on the ground, assets on the ground, covertly, into documentaries to discredit the documentaries. Literally, her sister, the sister of the woman that put the Facebook partnership together between the State Department, Maria Helen Morris. She's got damn videos on YouTube with the seal of the State Department behind her, explaining what she did for the State Department with Facebook and these things. And her sister was the one that destroyed Shadowgate to silence what I was trying to say. So it's like, and nobody cares, right?
Yeah.
It's like people are so freaking brainwashed. Oh, no, you can't talk bad about Trump. Why? Because he's acting completely batshit crazy. Somebody, like if you're someone's friend and they're doing something or saying something really stupid that's going to get them hurt, yeah, it's kind of your responsibility. Maybe you want to speak up. Dude, you sure about that? But, a complete stranger, I'd probably just let him do it and go on, But this is somebody that you want to be president.
Patrick, we're 15 minutes
yes,
in, and already I've had to jot down the time 3 times. Remember that no obscenity rule?
Oh, did I say a bad word?
Yeah, 3 times, bro. That's okay.
Oh,
Move
my
on.
God, I'm so sorry.
I don't worry. Move on. Now, what about, where does all this funding come from? Now, these guys, do you think they're a controlled opposition, or the funding is coming from Russia? We see with Tim Pool.
They're definitely controlled. Definitely controlled. It's hard to, they get a help, they get a hand up, they get either funded to get their platform started, or they are introduced into their already existing network to allow their existing network elevate their new platform, to give them, to their, as an influencer. When you do that on the scale like someone General Flynn did, for example, or even Tory, right? Just like an individual, quote unquote. But she had a lot of money coming in from sources, crypto and stuff, right? And so I'm going to assume that probably a lot of these influencers do. And they get paid money to discredit people, to destroy reputations, things like that. And that's the new world we live in, Ed. The new world we live in is to just win by destroying, even if it means fabricating or entrapping or whatever.
I think you're the one who told me it was Roger Stone who has the abilities to elevate these accounts.
Oh, Roger Stone. Yeah. He's my go-to. He's been doing this for like 3 decades now in DC. He brags about being the pioneer of this stuff. I acknowledge being, one of the pioneers, at least from the Army perspective, but it was also a joint operation. So, at least for the nomenclature of IIA, I was one of the original pioneers in that back in 2007. And I don't look at it as like this great thing. I look at it as like, oh, darn, this is going to be difficult, right? This is going to be something we don't want to deal with. This is going to be something that's going to make my children's lives more difficult.
Oh, yeah. I say all the time that in 5 years from now, we're going to be electing people to the Senate that their only qualifications is they have 1 million Twitter followers.
Or big tatas, big numbers and big tatas, and you can start already seeing that.
Oh, yeah.
And they aren't always, what does Trump say, bringing us their best and brightest from that demographic.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
So I don't see it heading in the right direction.
Where's the money coming from? Peter Thiel, the PayPal Mafia. When I have Barrett Brown on here, he talks about the PayPal Mafia and Russia, right?
Well, yes to all those sources up until you said Russia.
Oh, really?
Then separate that into the OCONUS category. So you've got multiple organizations, not to include your grassroots organizations, but you've got the McChrystals, who are with their Defeat Disinfo, who are running IIA operations for the Democrats, putting tens of millions of dollars directly into online influencers to push certain narratives. And how do they do that? They build predictive analytics. They scrape social media, social networks. They build predictive analytics. They put people in categories, and they reach out to them if they rank to a certain level, and they have a certain amount of followers, and they will, at that point, engage with them in using non-disclosure agreements and MOUs, memorandums of understanding, to have them basically provide a set of deliverables, monthly set of deliverables, right? And it's going to be whatever the people who are paying for that deliverable want. Now, then, go ahead.
In the case of Tim Pool, we can see him reading talking points. So he doesn't even know the names. He can't even pronounce them. And he's reading. You see, when we go back and look with hindsight, he's looking down at a paper, reading it.
What responsibility did he have to understand that amount of money, the providence of it, right? This is a major problem because I told you earlier, I love my country.
Yeah.
I'm so much against the Ukraine and Russia war, it's not even funny. I don't want Ukrainians to be dying, and I don't want Russians to be dying. I'm absolutely against the war between Israel and Palestine, and now they're bringing in all of these other areas. And I'm against all of them, right? But a lot of this, if not all of it, is a product of the weaponization of either social networks, smartphones, or now we've seen pagers. Right?
Yeah, what do you make of that? It seems that what came by surprise. It doesn't seem like anyone in U.S. military or intel was aware of that capability.
Well, I think just because you can do something doesn't mean you necessarily should. I think you cannot control the people next to them, or the damage that's going to do to that person holding someone else's child, or in an elevator with someone else, with a group of people that could be
driving a car.
Innocent,
You're driving a car. You run over a school bus now.
You're right. 3,000 people were injured. They got 8 or 9. Those numbers, even if you're into an analytics perspective, do not make sense. So from an operational, let's do an AAR on this. What went right? What went wrong? What can we do in the future not to have this happen again? Well, what went right was we killed 8 of them. What went wrong? We pissed off hundreds more and made thousands more enemies. What can we do better in the future? Not do this again, right? AAR. Let's not do that again, right?
Yeah. Hey, but back. Okay, so moving away from Israel now, back to Tim Pool and these online guys on Twitter. You've seen DC Drain, all these characters. Like today, there was they started pumping out this assassination attempt. There's a third assassination attempt. So now that they're getting a lot of this stuff through their butthole. Okay, it's not accurate information.
Yeah.
And then they keep promoting it, and then even double down after it's proven that it wasn't an assassination attempt today.
Yeah. Well, they have to be relevant.
Yeah.
They can't talk about how great it is that the sun came up today. It did. It was beautiful. It was spectacular. But people were kind of expecting it. If you have news that the sun's not going to come up, that's going to be the story that all these people are going to lead with. I don't, it's just the algorithms. The algorithms don't want us to be happy. Yeah. The algorithms want us to be in this state of chaos, in this state that we're in, right? Why? Because the algorithms are programmed by people that have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, right? So, yeah, we have no control over what's going on right now.
How much of it is these guys are out on their own, just coming up with these ideas out of their own head, or they're getting scripts?
You mean like for what? Like the pagers for the algorithm?
No, not the pagers. Like every day, like this Dom Lucree will come up with nonsense, these theories and coming up with a P. Diddy video from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, saying this is brand new, was fed to me, or again, this cat story, they know how much of it is real and how much of it is being fed to them.
Well, it's almost always real. There's almost always a cat almost certainly died, right? You could create the panic of COVID with a common cold, right? You just have to be like, oh my God, look what's going on. And then start bringing in all of these what ifs, right? All the time you see it starts with something that just kind of happened, that almost certainly randomly, that wasn't necessarily good, right? And they will turn it into, Michael Hastings' car crash, which may have been something that was tampered with, but it also may have been an accident. It was a nice car, and I understand he did like to go fast in it, right? But that car crash it was easily turned into a component being hacked on the device, almost, by Hayden. Maybe he did, and Flynn. Maybe they did, but we don't know. Yeah. Right.
And it's irresponsible to jump off a cliff, just and spew this stuff out there.
Yeah. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with having a conversation about the potential threats or security issues with those vulnerabilities, like in your vehicle and things like that. Nothing wrong with a conversation about that. But when you point it towards and focus it on, like an individual, as if, yeah, that's definitely, that's just one example of how you can take something that happened naturally and then weaponize it for years into something bigger, all starting with something that actually happened and then expanding out with plausible theories that never had very much actual factual evidence that you could verify to support it.
Who is this fellow? I know his face. I see his face, but I'm not in those circles where I consume this type of media. This guy, but I see you're very upset with him. When I look at your Twitter, your Facebook, Ivan Raiklin.
Oh, Jesus.
Slowly I turn.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Hey, we're okay. I can say that, right?
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry, yeah. I'm just saying, I'm pushing your buttons if I mentioned it Raiklin.
It depends on how I had lunch with Ivan back in D.C. on like the first week of December in 2020. He was running around D.C. with a list back then. There's a list of all the people we're going to have testify before Congress, and we're going to expose them, and we're going to take them all down. Well, he wasn't the marauder then. I don't know if he was anything special. He has tweaked his marketing a bit. But, he had the same BS, and he put me on that list to testify before Congress, and I told him when he did it that I didn't believe him, but that I would just be, please, surprisingly amuse me and actually make it happen. But I looked right at him and I said, but don't think I'm not stupid. Right? And sure enough, nothing on the list ever happened. And I certainly never testified.
Well, who is this guy and what's his background?
He is an attorney, apparently, which, that puts him up on the list of people that you adore. And, right? Oh. And he was, when I saw him in D.C., he claimed he was kind of like working with Flynn or working for Flynn, and that he, God's my witness, he told me that if he, and Millie was there too. I think Millie and Gavin were both there. And he said that, they got to get this turned around with the election, and if they did, he was going to get like a big. Flynn had promised him like a big, like a Secretary of Defense or something. I don't know. But so I mean, that's who Ivan Raiklin was. And as soon as I heard that he was working with General Flynn, I knew none of it could be trusted. So, or believed, and sure enough. And so when I see him come out now with another list running around, only this list now is really problematic. See, the list he had before and the shenanigans he was doing before was after Trump had already lost. Although I don't know what he was doing before Trump lost. He may have very well contributed to that with his own demographics of just crazy people. And I don't know, right? But when people like Ivan are given a platform by people like General Flynn, and they run around and they do these things, which they know are just not, just BS, but it's just a way for them to raise money. That turns people away from Trump. Look at him. People associate Trump to him. People associate Trump to Flynn. People associate Trump to Stone. And then people either don't go vote, which I may fall in that category, or people go and vote for somebody other than Trump.
Yeah, but is
right?
Trump any more stable than these characters? Is Trump any more stable than Loomer? And Trump any less racist than these characters? Is he any more capable than any of these characters?
Well, that Bianca chick, which I would also argue is an asset. The girl from the woman from the Mexicans for Trump. No, Hispanics for Trump.
Bianca?
I don't. Yeah, well, I can't think of it. She's a friend of Tori's, and so I don't put too much concern in actually getting it right, to be honest with you. Such a dick. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a name. I was referring to a name there. And a good friend of mine, Richard. You don't have to go back and do that one. But no. So I kind of got lost on that. But no, she. Where was I with that?
I don't know. I was asking you, is Trump any better than these kooks that he has surrounded him?
No, he's not. He's not.
Okay.
He's not. And one of the things I wanted to point out, one of the things I wanted to say, is that somebody put that. Oh, that Bianca girl. That's why
Bianca Garcia, Latinos for Trump.
Yeah, Latinos for Trump. I'm sorry.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
That's okay.
Must have been awful saying Mexicans for Trump. But I'm an American for Trump, but I don't think they actually have one of those. So she puts out a thing saying how Kamala Harris is like a criminal, which I don't think she's a criminal. Or maybe she was saying corrupt. Absolutely. I'm sure they all are. And she's like, I can't vote for that. I'm only going to, and I'm like, are you serious? Trump absolutely is as corrupt as anybody else running for office right now. And we may be okay. You just got to be honest about that, right? I voted for him in 2016, knowing I was not voting for Mother Teresa. Yeah. I knew he was, kind of bad, a lot of bad. In 2020, I voted for him again because, really, Biden? Right? So, okay. But then, I saw him just kind of getting worse and worse. And they're like, Millie was calling to have the National Guard come in back in May or so of 2020, well before the election, to have the National Guard come in and take over the voting booths and such. How do you think that impacts like normal-minded, hardworking, intelligent, educated people?
Are there any left?
Yeah, they are. They just aren't voting for Trump.
And I guess they're not spending all day on Twitter either. Now, you testified before the January 6th hearing, right? What was the nature of your testimony? And were you aware of this big plot to attack the Capitol and sabotage the electors and maybe kill Mike Pence in the mix?
Well, I was more there kind of like as a fly on the wall. I write my book. I was a whistleblower. I had submitted an affidavit. I wasn't operational, as you as I would describe what the rest of them were.
Right.
There were like hundreds of contractors that were there, paid. Most of them were MIC. Almost every one of them, MIC contractors.
What is MIC?
Military Industrial Complex.
Okay, gotcha.
So they were all either current MIC contractors.
A lot of NYPD?
Or I saw a lot of guys that were like National Guard, even
really?
from like Utah or further places out there, right? That had come to the Westin in Virginia with their cyber backgrounds, right? To be part of that cyber thing that Flynn was putting together with Byrne and yeah, you know, the whole thing in D.C. was
more of a coup than people think.
Repeat that.
More of a coup than people think.
Yeah. It was definitely. You hear me all the time. I believe that it is a coup. Even though I was there with the people, even though I support the things they're talking about, even though this and that, right? What they're doing is wrong, and I never supported that. I told them at the time. I was the only one at that meeting with Byrne and these others that literally said, "Don't you guys realize that this is a recovery, not a rescue, right? We need to figure out what went wrong. We need to spend the next 4 years making sure that doesn't happen again and setting up a way to even do better."
Well,
right?
just simple get out the vote.
Doesn't that seem like a common sense thing?
Yeah, I think 13% of these people at these rallies aren't even registered. You know what I mean?
It trumps.
Yeah,
it's entirely possible, right?
Well, that guy with the long hair, that kind of guy, gay guy, who's doing all the registration, and he admits it. 13% at the rallies aren't registered.
Well, there you go. That's spectacular.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But but look at Taylor Swift. What percentage? Although she's apparently actually gotten a lot of people to actually register to vote.
Yeah.
Don't know if they will, but she fills massive crowds, right? I found it interesting that she was. She was discovered by Toby Keith, and Toby Keith was discovered by my boss, General Jones. So, you know.
Oh, Toby Keith is a country music guy.
Yeah.
Huh.
He discovered. So.
What do you think of this Mike Lindell guy?
Mike Lindell?
Yeah.
That poor man. Yeah. That poor man. His brain's got to be fried from too much crack and shit.
Yeah.
Stuff. And I think he was just targeted because he's probably a very simple man to manipulate. They would probably see that. You would probably find the data to support that people who were recovering addicts and such are going to be highly susceptible, even like alcoholics and such, are going to be highly susceptible to manipulation. If you're extremely religious, you're going to be obviously extremely susceptible to believing in things that you can't see, feel, or touch, right? So those are the things that when these Cambridge Analytica companies are, sorting through data looking for, that's how they're putting together the data. Those are the demographics that they're trying to define. And then they find those demographics, they target those demographics. And I find it quite interesting that Taylor Swift was discovered by the guy who was discovered by General Jones.
Now that went over my head, man. I get what you're saying now. That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
And now who's attacking Trump politically?
Yeah.
I almost broke a tear when I found that out.
Well, Trump.
E2.
What kind of a madman says I hate Taylor Swift? What kind of a president can
E2 Taylor Swift. How do you say?
Never.
No. Gosh darn it.
But let's get that way. Something back to something serious.
Ed.
Yeah,
what were the odds?
But let me ask you this: these assassination attempts, man. Do you think?
Now,
these...
what do you say? What do you say when you? Okay, so that took a minute to sink in, didn't it? Right. Yeah. But you realize what I just said, right?
Yeah.
So my boss, when I went into his office, although I've never even met him personally, I answered directly to his son Jim, who was president for 8 years. For the first 3 or 4 years, we spoke almost daily, but all of my work was overseas, right? I only actually went to the corporate office 2 or 3 times during my 8 years with Dynology. But the last time I was up there, I went up and he took me into his dad's office, which is right next to his. It's bigger. It's the biggest office in there. Like on the 15th floor of the Towers Crescent building in Tyson's Corner. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right?
And that's where Flynn works.
What's that?
That's where Flynn has an office.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, no, I thought I got that from your page, no?
What's that?
I thought I got that from your Facebook or your Twitter that you said that Flynn had an office. You met with Flynn at Tyler Square.
No, I never met. I believe, the only time I believe I actually met with Flynn, I believe I may have met with him at in Afghanistan in the MWR. I think, but that's going way back, and I can't remember for sure. But I do believe. I think it was General Flynn. But so that's the only time I ever talked with him.
What do you make of these assassins, these attempted assassins, especially this last fellow, Ruth, and his connections to Afghanistan and recruiting people for Ukraine, recruiting fighters for Ukraine? That's a pretty odd guy, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Does it seem possible, though, because they have a connection to BlackRock, both of these guys, that this private intelligence, this Cambridge Analytica,
is it plausible?
Yeah,
absolutely. Does it look like it? Does it look like could it? Okay, is it plausible? Yes. Could he also just be a veteran like me? But I've just got my screw tightened a few more notches.
Yeah, right.
Right? He doesn't seem like a horrible person, like a bad person, but he seems kind of broken, hell-bent on war, hell-bent, just sold. He's just been sold on the war in Ukraine. And so could we possibly, with very little data for me to support my argument here, but just for a conversation, could we possibly argue that it's not a CIA thing in as much as this whole weaponization of social networks, not just social media, social networks, this weaponization of social networks are just breaking people mentally at a faster and faster pace, right? And this is going to be a pattern that could very well, I believe, it is going to end up destroying us. I don't see how.
Well, is that the goal then? Because you were behind the scenes developing this stuff. Okay, and so was there a study done to say, hey, if we do this too much, the whole country's going to go nuts and start eating cats? You know.
Well, most of the stuff that we were done, that most of the stuff that like the engineers or the coders would design, or anything that we did, right, would be based on the recommendations of like professors, right? psychologists. So you kind of trust that maybe they know what they're doing. I certainly don't.
No, definitely not. No.
EFC.
Okay, real quick. I noticed you have some. Slowly, I turn once again. You have some comments by Dan Bongino.
Yeah. Did you see the video that I put out on Bongino?
I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but tell us now.
It's pretty good. I made a song for him, and I actually put. So I used a video from a trip that I made out with one of to Naples. Going to go to Naples with one of my supporters to meet with Dan Bongino, just with a copy of my key tam that I had handed off. So this is like February of 2020. I had submitted my key tam January 17th in D.C. federal court to Judge Mehta, who happens to be the judge that's overseeing all the major cases there, which I find a conflict of interest because had he actually acted on the key tam, had Bill Barr enjoined the Department of Justice to my key tam, which they could have done.
What is a key
their
tam?
choice. What's that?
A key tam. What is it?
A key tam is it's from a thing called the Lincoln Law. It's the whistleblower law, right? So if it was made back in the days of Lincoln, when the government would order 1,000 rounds of ammunition and they would only get 700, or some of them would be filled with sand or whatever, right? If there was some fraud and somebody saw it and they reported it to the government, the government would go after the people doing it, stop them from doing it, and give the person who reported it a percentage of that, whatever they were doing from the government. Now, but there are restrictions for that, which I had waived a long time ago. One of those restrictions is not talking publicly about it, which I had already done. So my purpose for doing the key tam was strictly to try to get accountability, right? And so after that, in February, one of my supporters flew into town, and we drove up to Naples she had spent $450 a piece for us to get the VIP Dan Bongino experience at his book event. And I went down there. I spoke with someone beforehand, just trying to get a moment of Dan's time to be able to give him this stuff and hopefully just be able to start a conversation with him. Here, look at this. Why did I give that to Dan Bongino? Because so many of the people that he talked about on his show were directly connected and listed in my key tam. All right, but he treated me like crap from the time that I walked up to him. And here I got my Biker's 45 vest on.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Afghanistan veteran. So you'd at least think he wouldn't, but he was just like, this isn't the time for this. And next, and I was like, okay. So we go back to the table, and we're sitting there waiting. He comes out, does maybe a 20-minute thing, really $450 for 20 minutes, and my steak was burnt. But he actually sent a couple guys over to the table with cameras taking pictures of myself and Susan, right? Like, spies. And I'm like, wow, that's great. So Dan, within a day or two, blocked me.
Really?
Yeah. Now I find it interesting that he started with Fox News just a few weeks later. Whether or not Jillian Turner, the now at the time I think a White House correspondent for Fox News, but the former vice president of Jones Group International, my former colleague, I'm assuming maybe she hooked him up with that job at Fox News for burying my story, right? Mike Keatam. Why would I say that? Because Mike Keatam named Fox News, named Jillian Turner, right? And then shortly after, he got this big buy-in offer on that platform that they had launched, right? So that went under and was basically used to, as a comms thing for the attack on January 6th. So Bongino's out pushing. Bongino's like still pushing the 2020 elections stolen, and I'm like, listen, how bad do you want Trump to lose? Don't these people understand, right? And I think I have a right as an American who is a registered voter to publicly say, listen, this is not smart. If you keep pushing if you believe that the 2020 election was stolen, the only way you're ever going to get the answers to that is if in 2024 your man is in office. And let me tell you, your man's not going to be in office if you're pushing this nonsense right now, because it's turning off Republicans. It's turning off independents. Democrats were already turned off, but they're even more turned off. He attacked Taylor Swift's ass. So now you got...
Did he really? Was that real?
That could have been fake.
Yeah.
But he did say he hated her.
He hates her in the middle of the night, yeah.
Right? That wasn't fake. So just by the way, if he posts an all caps tweet of X of I hate Taylor Swift, right? Do you, when something else comes out that says she doesn't have an ass, she's got a flat ass,
right.
Do you even say to yourself, do you even question that's him? Right? That's like totally something he would put out. So I'm like, sorry. It doesn't matter. Once you start doing stuff like that, even if you don't do it, people are going to put it out there, fake, and the people that your supporters are going to believe it, even if it's not true. Why? Yeah. Because you just did it 5 minutes earlier, only a slightly bit different.
Like putting P. Diddy's face on Montel Williams next to Kamala Harris, saying that she dated him too.
Or using, caps or no caps.
Right.
I mean, it still says, it's still awful what it says.
And the crazy thing is he's already got that vote. He's already got that extreme conspiracy, weirdo vote.
Yeah,
he's got that vote. He's never going to lose it.
Listen, he needed them to get through the attacks of DeSantis and others. He needed that team of sociopaths to just do anything, say anything without any bounds to take out anybody that would threaten him for this run. That's why he's the candidate. Not because he's the most qualified, but because he's got the largest group of people that have no moral or ethical bounds whatsoever. And they will lie. They will fabricate. They will do it in a very coordinated and tactical way. Yeah. And they'll be like, wow, a new check. That's great. Let's go cash it. And they won't even care. They won't care what they're doing to us, right? Here in our country. Don't poop where you eat.
We've been talking to Patrick Bergy, the American Awakening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, it is, right?
Yes, sir.
As a live chat, you get the videos on Twitch TV, PFC_Bergy, X.com, IRNbroadcast.com. You could find it there too as well. And he has a Patreon called American Awakening. And the last couple of minutes, Mr. Bergy, and I love having you on here, man. You really do. Just you don't hold back, man. You know. What would you like to leave us with?
I don't know. I appreciate you having me on here. It is okay. Yeah. Let me pose this, right? We're talking about the stuff we're talking about today. Every time you put in a query, every time you put something into Google, think about this, right? Every time you put something into Google or MSN or whatever you do, when you're looking for an answer, whether that question is 2 plus 2 or whether that question's like much bigger, right? Or something new and relevant in the news. The algorithm is going to, before providing you the page with the answer or the answer, it's going to look at your profile and determine what is going to provide you the greatest experience that is going to have you return as a customer, right? So they don't really even necessarily so much care about like the $100 or the $1,000 that law firm might pay when you type in a certain keyword. I'm looking for this attorney, right? They want you to have the best experience. So when you in anything you type in is going to take you to the answer you're looking for based on your what it determines as your predictive profile, right? So we are all living in this box of our own profiles being fed. And, you know, I can put in the question of 2 plus 2 and Ed can put in the question of 2 plus 2. And, yeah, we'll
get different results, yeah.
We'll get the same results, but the page that it's displayed on will be different, right?
100%.
The ads that come up will be different. The color of the background of the page might be different to fit what the algorithm believes is going to provide us with the best experience, right? So is our best experience, or is this healthy, right? Because who's controlling that? See, I think that's one of the reasons, and that's completely separate from the just you going to a page, right? Like you scrolling to something, or you go to you go to Facebook. That's different than the algorithms that Facebook's feeding to you. And of course, when you type in something in Facebook, right? It's going to give you an answer based on whether you're allowed to see that content or not, right? And on your profile, everything is being done. Everything we do, we are living in the world of unlimited information. Yet all of that information is being kind of containerized within our own personas, our own profiles. And how are we ever going to... That's why I think we're starting to get back into these groups like, black against white. At least on social media, I don't see it, or I haven't seen it so much in the public around me, but that can change, right?
Yeah, that's so true. I see racism worse today than it was 20 years ago. But Mr. Patrick Bergy, we are out of time. I got some more questions here for you, man. I'll get you to come back.
Awesome.
I want to talk to you about Andrew Tate, too. Patrick Bergy, once again, check this guy out. Great. Follow him on Twitter, too. Again, what's that? PFC on
PFC
Twitter.
_
PFC Patrick Bergy on Twitter, too, as well. Great content there every single day. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Ed.
Bye.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.